Hello, welcome back to the Sober Mom Life podcast. I'm so grateful you guys keep coming back. If you're just joining us, this is our Friday episode called The Weekend Reset. It's just a bite size, just a tasty little morsel so that you can kind of, get your mind right for the weekend in case you tend to forget everything that you've learned from the week or from the Monday episode. And, old habits come in and you start romanticizing alcohol, which is what today's episode is about. So, for 10 weeks, I'm going through each chapter of my book. It's called The Sober Shift, a modern day guide to living an abundant sober life. It came out at the end of September. We're going through each chapter. So, we have made it to chapter 4. If you are just joining us, and by us, I mean Georgia and me. Georgia is my co-star. She's my dog. And she's always here in my closet with me where I record. Yeah, so go back. You can start at chapter 1, or you could just hop in right here. You could do whatever you want. I don't have to tell you what to. You just listen however you want to listen. Okay, so today we are talking about the shift from romanticizing alcohol to telling the truth about the role it plays in your life. Oh man. I feel like I say this every week when I come on here to talk about the book, that I'm like, okay, you guys, it's this chapter. Maybe it's like picking a favorite child, right? That I'm like, oh, no, that one. No, that one I love. Turns out all 3 are my favorite children, just depending on the day. But this chapter really does require some work. And at the end of each section of the book, there's a now it's your turn section where I do walk you through this stuff. So much of my sobriety was about looking back. And yes, looking forward is great. And we want to do that. But before I could look forward in sobriety, I really did need to look back and really untangle all of this. Not only the lies that I believed about alcohol, right? Like that it relaxes us and that it made me funnier and faster and dance better and more beautiful and all of that just bullshit. But I really had to, I call it the mold in the basement. I had to start to tell the stories that I really didn't want to tell. And I don't think I could have told them had I still been drinking. Because once you really look at the role alcohol has played in your life, right? Once you begin to open that door that you've probably shut and locked and put a chair under the doorknob, so that no one can get in there. Oh, you guys, sobriety does require going back and saying okay, let me look at my drinking stories through a different lens and let me see not myself as the problem, because, you guys, you are not the problem. Alcohol is the problem. And let me go back through a compassionate lens, because that is what it requires. So let's start with that first part, the shift from romanticizing alcohol. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is why I will remain on Instagram until I am an old little lady when it probably won't even exist anymore, because I will do my part in romanticizing sobriety, because alcohol has been romanticized everywhere we look. We are told not only is alcohol the solution, but that it makes things better, that it makes a date night more romantic, right? That it makes hanging out with friends more fun, that it makes everything more fun. And so we then in turn do a lot of romanticizing. I hear from so many women in the Sober Mom Life Cafe. That's my support group. And oh man, if I could tell you how many times I've heard, a woman stop drinking and then kind of look over longingly at someone who is still drinking and assume that we know how she's feeling and we know her relationship with alcohol, and we always assume the best, right? We romanticize it and be like, oh, I wish I, quote unquote, could drink like that. Like it's a privilege, right? We romanticize the idea of alcohol and what we want it to be. And so much of what I did in my first year of sobriety was really untangling that and untangling what I had always wanted alcohol to be. You guys, I had very high hopes for alcohol. It was going to do a lot. And I gave it, I was going to say I gave it a good college try, which is funny because I did. I gave it the college try. I gave it the 20s try. And I even gave it the 30s try. Okay. And, yes, in early sobriety, it was kind of a realization and a reckoning of saying, oh, holy shit, alcohol, not only has it disappointed me kind of over and over and over again, and not only has it not lived up to what I thought it could be, like I gave alcohol a lot of credit, but I have taken the fall for pretty much all of alcohol's bullshit. I took the blame. I took the fall. I just need to drink better. And kind of that shift in how I thought about it really helped me then tell my stories a little bit differently and look at my stories through a lens of compassion for myself. I do think that going back, and specifically for moms, and this is the Sober Mom Life podcast. I'm a mom. I have the Sober Mom Life Cafe. Like, I talk to moms because I think as moms, we have a very particular relationship with shame and the shame around drinking, especially if our children were there, if they were involved, if we drove with them in the car, right? If they saw us drunk, if they saw us hungover, there's a very specific shame that we feel. And I write about that all in the book. And I hold your hand through all of that. And I think this is where a lot of us can get stuck, because going back and really looking at alcohol very clearly and seeing what role did it play in my life? What role did it play in motherhood? And what have I really lost to it? Right? You know that I always say my story is not a rock bottom story, and it's not. I think in some people's minds it is, right? I mean, that's the thing with asking everyone else what they think about our stories. You're going to get a lot of opinions, and they don't matter. But the idea that I didn't lose much to alcohol on the outside might have been true, but that didn't feel true inside. And I had to go back and really say, okay, when did I count on alcohol? What was I getting from it? Because again, I say this a lot in the book, we're not lunatics. We are getting something from alcohol. We're not drinking just because, we might be drinking because we're bored. That's information. We don't like to be bored. Okay, let's practice being bored, right? So why are we drinking? What role is alcohol playing in our lives? And this is really like the excavation part of beginning to say, okay, I'm going to take the blinders off here and I'm going to shine a light in the mold in my basement. And I'm going to say, yeah, this is how I used alcohol. And this is what happened, right? This is the havoc it wreaked. This is the relief I felt, because that's true too. Until then, it destroyed too much. And again, I know it's easy for me to come on here and like say these. And it's kind of like, okay, guys, step 4. Now we are going to, stop romanticizing alcohol and really tell the truth about the role it played. Of course, my sobriety journey was not linear like that. It wasn't like, now I'm going to do this, check mark, done. This is ongoing. I am still discovering ways of things that I lost to alcohol. And I'm still kind of remembering as I was writing the book. I share a lot in here that I have never talked about, which I know is hard to believe because I talk for a living and I share a lot with you guys on here. But as I was writing the book, there are stories, drinking stories that came to me that I had forgotten. I'm like, oh, wow. And once you start to excavate, what are you going to find? And that can be scary. That can be scary. I want to remind you that you are okay. You are safe. You are strong. And you're also, most importantly, not alone. This is exactly why I created the cafe. I wanted a place to go to say, hey, oh my God, I just remembered, I got wasted. I blacked out in my 20s and I woke up in this guy's bed. Right. And I needed a place to say that to women who, if they didn't understand that exact thing, they understood that shame I felt. And they also knew that that wasn't me. Right? We need each other to help work through this stuff. We need compassion for ourselves and we need to feel compassion from others. And if you don't have a community in sobriety, even if you're sober curious, that is a perfect place to start. You need one. You can do this alone. It is possible to do this alone. I did it alone for the first probably like year and a half, but you don't have to. And that's the best part. Is like you don't have to figure this out on your own. You don't have to dig your way on your own. You don't have to hold the flashlight when you're looking at the mold in your basement. Like I'll hold the flashlight and you start working through it. Right? And like we need each other. You guys, we need each other. There is a lot of science in the book, which I know. You guys don't normally come to me for science, but it's here. And I did so much research. And so yeah, I walk you through this idea of how have we romanticized alcohol, really pointing it out. Also, you might have romanticized alcohol in your past, right? There's a thing called rosy retrospection, which my husband jokes was the name of his ex-girlfriend, which is so funny. It's also, I feel like it would be a good stripper name, right? Rosy retrospection is when we remember our past differently than it was. We probably romanticized the role alcohol played in our life until we really decide to get honest and say, okay, let's stop giving alcohol a pass and let's really tell the truth about what it's taken. I always like to think about alcohol as like a toxic ex, and it is the same thing, and it's a breakup. And when you think about your breakup, there is the period of grief and mourning of like, oh man, I thought we were going to get married. I thought you were going to be the love of my life. And I think that it's very important to honor that and don't beat yourself up if you're missing alcohol. If you are mourning what you always wanted alcohol to be, that's okay. That is very human. Have so much compassion for yourself through that. It's the same as a breakup, right? And then anytime you find yourself romanticizing alcohol this weekend, right? If you are looking at someone drinking and thinking, God, I'm really missing out. I want you to think about the toxic ex, right? Think about your like worst relationship, your most toxic ex. He treated you like shit. Maybe he was a narcissist. He was good looking, but man, did he have just a black soul, right? And it's easy to watch him with his new girlfriend, new partner, whatever, and assume the best. Like, oh man, they're great. They're happy. Look at that. But you don't see what's underneath and you're forgetting. You're forgetting all that you lost. And you're forgetting that he caused you to doubt yourself, worst of all. Right? So have so much compassion for yourself this weekend. Just begin to notice. Begin to notice not only how society romanticizes alcohol and really pushes it on us, but maybe how you romanticize alcohol and the role it's played in your life. And what steps can you take today? Little steps. This is a baby step situation. What steps can you take today to begin to tell the truth, to start to open the door to the stories that you have buried out of shame and letting alcohol skate by? Like, what if we held alcohol accountable now and we begin to tell the truth about the role that it plays in your life? That is, for me and for many women, that's where the freedom begins. So come and join us. If you don't have a community, I know there are a lot of wonderful communities out there. If you don't have one, please try ours. It's called the Sober Mom Life Cafe. We have peer support Zoom meetings 6 days a week. all different times. We're trying to work on the times for, different time zones, making sure that we can catch everybody. We also have a monthly book club, and I'm going to be hosting a Sober Shift monthly book club in the cafe too, where we just get to sit and talk about the book. And we also have a private Facebook group where we can talk about anything and everything under the sun, anything you need. So I will leave the link in the show notes. Come and join us. And thank you. Thank you so much for your support of this podcast. It means so much to me. You guys are the reason that I get to do this, and I will never, ever, ever take that for granted. I appreciate you so much. If you can, please consider rating and reviewing it. If you love it, please give it 5 stars. That really does help. And share it with a woman that you think would like the podcast, and have her join the party and the bright side of sobriety, because man, it's pretty damn awesome over here, right? Okay, I'm so proud of you, and check in with me on Instagram. Tell me how it's going, and I love to hear from you guys. I am so grateful you're here. Thank you, and keep going.